Hello and welcome to the CinemATL podcast for July 2018. The CinemATL podcast is a monthly podcast that examines the world of entertainment through the lens of local Atlanta filmmakers. That would be one of your hosts, me, Michael D. Friedman, and our other host.
And me, Martin Kelly.
And we are here to guide you through our first ever live podcast on Facebook Live. So
it's pretty cool.
If you're listening to us later, we were live. But
yeah,
if you're listening to us now, we're live.
So you'll know next time if we decide to go this route again.
Yeah.
To come check us out.
So this is kind of an experiment for us. We're going to see how it goes. But we welcome you, those of you that are watching us now, and hop on board.
Yeah,
hop
exactly.
on board the CinemATL train, if you will. One thing we want to know from you guys, if you're working on any films, we would love to hear from you. You can tweet us at CinemATL. That's CinemATL, or myself at Badger33,
or me at Marte_real1.
Or you can comment here on Facebook Live.
Yep.
You can comment on Twitter.
Right.
Facebook, CinemATL.com.
Facebook, yeah.
Anywhere you hear us or watch us, we would love to hear from you about what you're working on, what you feel about the podcast, what you like, what you don't like.
Yep. And don't say the host.
Unless
it's who you like.
The hosts aren't changing, so
I know we can't replace. We're irreplaceable, unfortunately.
And also, we would love if you could share the podcast with your friends and family, and even your enemies if you want to.
Yeah, inflict this knowledge on them, this experience on them.
For those of you who are new to the podcast, we normally format it the same format every month. We normally start out with some industry news where we talk about what's going on in Atlanta and elsewhere within the South, and just any other kind of relevant topics.
Right. So a lot of it's focused to local films that are going to be released, local films that are in production, and then sometimes we drift into general entertainment industry topics.
Yep. And this is where, if you tell us what you're working on, we can also talk about that.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly where we can do it.
And then we will move into our top three, where we talk about our top three favorite films of whatever we're talking about that month. And this month we're doing Paul Rudd films. Top three Paul Rudd films.
Right. And it relates to our big movie review, which comes after the top three.
And that
because the big movie review is Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Yeah. Filmed in Atlanta.
Starring Paul Rudd.
And then we move into a technique topic. Right. And this, since we're doing it live, if we have enough people, we will take questions from the audience.
Yeah.
But we have some topics that we can discuss that are related to the Ant-Man and the Wasp and Paul Rudd films. And if you haven't joined us before, the technique topic is more on a local filmmaking bent. Like if you want to make your own films, you want to be part of the Atlanta filmmaking scene, we give you our advice.
Well, based on our experience, we've been in the trenches on independent films in Atlanta for a little while. Yeah, a few months.
Like 500 months or whatever. It's probably, I don't know. That's 60 years. I don't think that actually the math doesn't work there. But yeah, for a while,
for some time we've done it, and so we've had a lot of experience, and so we just like to transfer that experience to anyone who hasn't had that much experience, and you can learn from our mistakes and our successes. So hopefully that's what the film technique topic does for you.
Yeah, and then to wrap things up, we go into the movie game.
Yes.
And the movie game is just a fun game that we do, competition between myself and Martin, who can... We'll get into the details of that in a bit. But yeah, so thank you for joining us.
Yep.
And we will shortly jump into some industry news.
Absolutely. Cool. So let's talk industry news then.
Yes. So with industry news, we normally divide it up into, kind of what's coming out, what's filming now, and then just other various topics that you guys might be interested in. So, upcoming, there's some Atlanta shot films. We've talked about some of these before, so we'll just kind of go through this list pretty quickly. But First up is Mile 22, which is coming up on August 3rd.
Right, that's Mark Wahlberg starring vehicle, directed by Peter Berg, and they shot that not that long ago. Actually, a lot of the shooting was done early this year. I saw, because I happen to follow Peter Berg on social media, and he was always posting little pics from Atlanta, and so that's definitely I honestly don't quite know what it's about. I think it's about some kind of special op.
Yeah, it's just like they're trying to get smuggle some government figure, political person out of a country. I don't know which country.
Yeah, I know. It seems like an Asian country,
but it's filmed in Atlanta.
But filmed in Atlanta,
so they're not trying to get him out of the U.S. But it does seem like it's. I don't know if it's Asian or if it's South American or what.
The characters seem to be more Asian. But I don't know for sure. I don't know for sure. Like you said, it's hard. It's really hard. I've seen the trailer a couple times, but it's really hard to understand what's going on.
Yeah, we'll see what goes on with that. But yeah, I normally like Peter Berg's. He's a pretty good action director. So
absolutely, he definitely is.
And then The House with a Clock in Its Walls premieres on September 21st in theaters, and that stars Jack Black,
Kate Blanchett, and Owen Vaccaro. Who's a local Atlanta actor, young man.
Yes,
he just got a new role, and I forgot it. I saw it today, the news, and I should have mentioned it. He just got a new role today. So, anyway, Congratulations, Owen.
And that, that one looks. It seems like a more family oriented.
Especially from the director of
since it's Eli Roth
of Hostel.
Yeah, so it was kind of a shock that's what it was to me. Next up, I'm sure you've heard Night School is coming out on September 28th.
Right.
Kevin
Hart back in Atlanta again.
Yeah. Venom is the Spider-Man spin-off, which we've discussed several times before. That's premieres on October 5th, starring
Tom Hardy. Michelle Williams. I was going to
say Justin Hardy, but
no, not Justin. I don't think. Tom Hardy, Michelle Williams, and various others. And then there's another film called The Hate You Give.
Yeah.
Coming out soon.
And that comes out October 19th, and that they just released it.
The trailer just kind of came out.
Yeah, and that's based off of a novel, and takes. I don't know if it takes place. It's definitely filmed in Atlanta.
Definitely.
And you can tell in the trailer that it's Atlanta background. I don't know if it actually takes place in Atlanta. And then also First Man, the Ryan Gosling biopic of Neil Armstrong.
Yep, the first man on the moon.
The other Armstrong.
Not Curtis Armstrong from Revenge of the Nerds.
It wasn't Curtis Armstrong. I was thinking of the other, the biking guy, whatever.
Okay.
The doping Armstrong.
Oh, okay. No.
Of the
not that Armstrong.
Not that Armstrong. This is the moon landing.
This is the
first man on the moon.
Man on
that's
the moon.
why the title First Man.
Absolutely.
So that's what's coming out soon, and then also be on the lookout for a bunch of TV shows that have their new fall seasons. Dynasty, The Gifted, The Resident. A bunch of the films. A bunch of them are filming here in Atlanta right now.
And even a new season for one of Tyler Perry's films. I just saw an ad for not the Have and Have Nots. Yes, Have and Have Nots, where 6 people are apparently going to die. 6 characters.
6.
So that's amazing.
Oh, we want to give a shout out to Charles Judson and Chance White, who have joined our viewing experience.
What's up, Charles and Chance? How you doing?
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
I appreciate it.
All right, so moving on to what is out. What is filming now? So, Martin, you discovered a couple things that were
there's one filming in the neighborhood, and I don't know if you've seen the signs for it as you drive home.
I saw the sign and it opened up my mind. I saw the sign.
Okay. No. The sign is actually called Kiki, right?
Oh, yeah.
But it's been filming in this area. Signs, yes. And so I see it's coming home from work sometimes, and I'm like, where are they shooting? It happens to be Norcross area, and it's called The Mule.
And that is a Clint Eastwood movie, right?
Correct.
Yes.
Clint Eastwood film.
And the funny thing about that is it actually two of the people that are in the cast is Michael Pena and Lawrence Fishburne, who were just in Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Exactly.
So it's interesting. We keep seeing these same actors coming back and shooting things in Atlanta.
Well, and that's funny because going back to Mile 22, the actress Lauren Conrad from The Walking Dead, which of course films in Atlanta, is in Mile 22. So Very convenient that she was in
How
town.
Convenient. But the Mule actually stars Bradley Cooper and Diane Wiest, and it's about a true story about Leo Sharp, a World War II vet who became a courier for the Mexican drug cartel.
And this is a long line of Clint Eastwood movies lately that he's been taking on true stories a lot. And so this is just, I guess, another one, but it's a good cast.
Sounds a bit like American Made, but
it does. It does.
At least the plot.
Yeah, it's been playing on cable a lot, and I watched it a couple of times. Another Atlanta filmed movie
about drug smuggling.
Exactly. And true stories.
And then there's also a new pilot, which is being filmed here for Hulu. What is that? Kansas City?
Yeah, it's called Kansas City, ironically. It's a drama. It seems like kind of a dark drama about... I'm sort of...
About stuff?
Well, yeah, it's about... Oh, yeah. It's about... I remember now. It's about a wall similar to the Berlin Wall that gets created in the city because the left, right, not east, west. I'm thinking East Coast, West Coast rappers. Yeah. But the left, right political divide gets so bad that they have to build a wall separating the folks. So that sounds like, obviously a futuristic sort of almost dystopian,
sci-fi.
Yeah. It sounds like it could be like that, but that's what
kind of like Berlin, like East Berlin, West Berlin type thing.
Yeah, that's what it seems like it is. So, that I don't. Who's starring in it? Did I write that down? I don't remember.
You did not take very good notes on this.
That one, sorry about that. The concept was interesting and intriguing.
You get 2 demerits for this month's podcast.
So I don't need to get any more demerits, folks. I'm on thin ice as it is.
You'll be in trouble.
But no, the concept itself,
podcast detention.
The concept itself seemed really interesting. But then, ironically, it's called Kansas City, but they're filming here in Atlanta for Hulu.
Well, if it's about like a city that's falling apart, I'd rather it be Kansas City than Atlanta.
I would too. True. I
so,
do that.
If you are interested in these productions and joining any of the productions that are filming around town, we highly suggest that you check out the Georgia Help Wanted hotline at georgia.org. Go to their website, check it out. There's a link on there. They list positions that are open
and
for crew, for cast, for extras,
for everything else. Yeah.
There's a lot of information there, and there's other places along the web you can find other information about some of these things.
And there's one more movie that's in pre-production.
Breaking news.
Well, Molly Coffey's Kaylee at Age 8. Right?
Okay.
That film, I believe, is gearing up to go into pre-production very shortly.
Cool.
And so, obviously, Molly is part of our partners over at the Atlanta Film Chat.
Atlanta Film Chat, yeah.
And so they've done a couple of podcasts about Kaylee Age 8. So you can check that out at CinemATL.com and check out those podcasts. But that film is actually slated to go into pre-production very soon. So shout out to Molly.
Good to know. And then finally, one other thing that's not necessarily film related, but I wanted to bring it up is there's a new podcast out by a local Atlanta filmmaker, Brett Wood. It's called The Control Group, and this is actually a fictional podcast. Right. It's almost like you're listening to a movie in your ears. It's very well done. I've listened to the first couple episodes. I haven't got through the whole thing yet, but it's very interesting. It's about drugs and mind psychological experimentation.
Wow.
And it actually stars Hannah Fireman, who's been in a lot of local Atlanta productions, including The Signal and
no, not The Signal.
Not The Signal. VHS,
and, right, and then also Siren.
And then she was in Brett's other film, The Unwanted.
The Unwanted, correct.
As well. And there's a lot of other local Atlanta actors that I'm drawing a blank on names of, but they're recognizable people that if you're familiar with the Atlanta indie scene, it's
and forgive me, there is one other podcast that is. Brett's podcast is doing really well, actually.
Brett's podcast is actually produced by How Stuff Works, if you know about them. They're based out of the Pont City Market, but they're pretty national brand.
Right.
So
really I know that it's doing really well, but there's another podcast that's doing really well, and I'm blanking on the name. Keith Brooks is the producer on that podcast, and it's kind of it's based off Big Trouble in Little China, and so it's kind of got an homage title similar to that, but I'm blanking on it. He told me about it, and I'm like, he's gonna murder me.
That's another demerit for you, man.
I know.
What are you doing?
I'm gonna get kicked off the podcast, and we said no new host, so so you'll be doing it by yourself.
But just look for it.
I will. You know what I'll do next month? I will talk about it, and I will get the name right. So sorry about that, Keith.
Yeah, you better be. Yeah, so that's it for industry news this month. Why don't we just move along?
All right. Let's go.
Let's go. Top 3. All right.
Top 3.
Top 3
Paul Rudd movies. And again, top 3 for those who don't understand. It's just our opinion. It's just our favorites. Sorry if they're not objective.
We're not saying these are universally the best Paul Rudd movies you'll ever see.
Yeah, American Film Society is probably going to disagree with us.
If you have good taste like us, then you might agree. But
sure.
Otherwise,
all the hip people will probably agree with us.
All right, so let's start at number 3.
Okay.
What do you have for your third ranked Paul Rudd?
I'm cheating here because I have a tie. Is that okay?
No, because I made a decision.
You did?
You can name an honorable mention.
Okay, I'll name an honorable mention then.
That's what I was going to do.
So later I'll honorable mention it. Okay. So my number 3 then is The Fundamentals of Caring. And Fundamentals of Caring is I believe it's available on Netflix.
It's Netflix actually picked up the film from a festival run. It actually played at the Atlanta Film Festival.
Right, it was an opening night film.
One of the opening night films. And actually I have it as my number 3 as well.
What?
Yes.
Awesome.
And I'll give my honor. It beat out Clueless for me.
Oh, see, I thought Clueless would be on your list, so I didn't put it on mine.
The reason I didn't put Clueless on my list is because it's not really a Paul Rudd movie.
Right.
It's like where I first kind of thought about Paul Rudd. Like, hey, he's cool. I like him.
No, but I mean, it counts. He's in it.
It's not like he doesn't drive it. So
Clueless has been on one
of your top 3s. What was your honorable?
My honorable mention is Ant-Man.
Okay. All right. Well,
we'll talk about.
We normally read these off first, and then we discuss them a little bit later. So number 2 for me. Speaking of your honorable mention, my number 2 is actually Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Oh, nice.
And I had Ant-Man on the list, but I actually like Ant-Man and the Wasp better than Ant-Man. So it bumped it for me.
Nice. Okay. My number 2 is Role Models.
Yep.
Which is Paul Rudd and the great Sean William Scott.
And ironically enough, that's my number 1.
Awesome.
Paul Rudd movie.
See, you've got good taste.
I do. Thank you for confirming. I already knew it. But
you have good taste, but you missed out on the number 1 Paul Rudd film. And then this one, again, is a little bit like Clueless in the sense that it's not his movie.
Yeah.
But he's a big enough part in it.
Yeah.
And that's The 40-Year-Old Virgin.
Right. Okay. Yeah, see, I thought about that. I thought about Anchorman. And again, I thought I liked his performances. I like his characters in them. Sure. But to me, he wasn't leading the charge of the movie. He wasn't like a leading man.
40-Year-Old Virgin, as much as it's Steve Carell's movie, the 40-Year-Old Virgin works because of primarily Romany Malco, by far the best part of the movie. And then number 2 is Paul Rudd.
Yeah. Well, yeah, the supporting cast in that, They make their whole interaction, that group of characters.
That whole group, exactly.
Which you have Seth Rogen's also in that group as well.
And then 40-Year-Old Virgin is just really classic.
Oh yeah, it's a great
film.
I love that movie.
Yeah.
And it would be on some other top 3 lists of mine, but just not a Paul Rudd movie for me.
Gotcha.
But yeah, for me, I put Role Models as number 1 because he is like really the star. Well, him and like you said, him and Sean William Scott, and their chemistry together works so well in that movie. Like Paul Rudd kind of plays the straight man, where Sean William Scott's the more immature guy, but their chemistry is so good in that movie, and their chemistry with the kids in the movie.
It's very good.
Christopher Mintz-Plasse, who played McLovin in Superbad,
Right.
is one of the kids in it. And there's another kid who I think that's like the only movie he's ever really done. Has he done
Well, he's
anything
done a
else
lot of
since then?
TV. He's done a lot of TV, but yeah.
He's great. That little kid,
Yeah.
that little kid is
Bobby
great in it.
something is his name.
Yeah, Bobby. Yeah, I can't remember what his last name was, but yeah, it's just a really funny movie.
Absolutely.
It makes fun of LARPing, which is right for, and it's got some great cast members from like the Upright Citizens Brigade in it. Jane Lynch is in it,
Right.
you know, and so yeah.
And what's his name? He steals the show all the time. He's on Brooklyn
Nine-Nine, and I was going to say his name, but I'm blanking on his name. If anybody out there watching,
Joe
Latrulio,
Yeah, Latruglio. He's
great,
hilarious, and
then
even
so
Kim Jong.
Yeah, Kim Jong, who's kind of overplayed nowadays,
Yes.
I think. But in Role Models, he was good, and it's kind of like that was before he started like getting that same kind of. But he plays like the king of the LARPers. It's really funny.
It's hilarious.
But yeah, so we talked about my number one and your number one a little bit. Do you want to talk a little bit more about
Our number three, right?
We got number. Yeah.
Three,
well, we both have. Well, you had Ant-Man as number three. I had Ant-Man and the Wasp.
No, that was my honorable mention.
That was your honorable mention.
Fundamentals.
Well, let's talk about Ant-Man and the Wasp. Well, we're going to talk about Ant-Man and the Wasp later. So I kind of give away what my feelings are on Ant-Man and the Wasp. I really liked it. So that's my number two. So I won't go into too much detail on that since we're going to discuss it in full. But we both gave Fundamentals of Caring number three.
Right. And I think what I like most about it is that he's very funny in it, and yet it's not a comedy straight ahead.
Yeah, he's a very Paul Rudd character, but he's playing a more serious version of the Paul Rudd character.
Right, exactly.
Right? Yeah, but he's very funny, and he's got the quick wit that you come to love with Paul Rudd characters.
Right, and then there's a lot of heart to the
movie. There is, and it gets a little bit schmaltzy, and I can see why some people might not like it because of some of that. But I think there's a good message behind it.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Selena Gomez plays a character in it, and I'm surprised it wasn't more popular than it was because she was in it. But it really, it's one of those things that was, it was picked up by Netflix.
Well, I think
they didn't
I don't feel like they marketed it as much as they do some of their other titles.
Well, nowadays it seems like they've decided to focus more on marketing these movies than they used to just like pick them up and throw them out there.
Yeah.
But now you see advertisements for them and stuff like that, whereas like before.
Now you hear them on, like for instance, Pandora or Spotify. You know, you start hearing Netflix ads for movies, especially if they're Adam Sandler movies.
Yeah. The 50. Didn't he like sign a 50-picture deal with them?
I think so.
Or something ridiculous.
That's a long deal.
It is insane. If he did more movies like Billy Madison and Happy Gilmore, then I'd be all for it. But he's
I don't know. I haven't seen. I have seen hardly any of. The
I
Netflix
tried to watch
films.
the Chris Rock and him, the wedding one, and it seemed like it was okay for I just didn't get through it.
I think I watched the Meyerowitz Chronicles.
That was supposed to be pretty good, though.
And it was good. Yeah. It was good.
But that's a.
It is.
What's his name?
Directing Noah Baumbach. Yes, so it definitely is.
Definitely different.
But is it still under his deal though?
I don't know.
Did he produce that still under the Netflix deal?
I don't know, but none of this has anything to do with Paul Rudd.
I know. Sorry, Paul. we didn't mean to. We're going to talk about you later, so don't worry.
Yeah, we're going to talk about you a lot.
So let's, I guess.
And then, so the honorable mentions, you had Ant-Man, I had Clueless, and we talked about why. Clueless was, to me, the first time, like, I'd seen Paul Rudd and other things, but it was like, oh, I like that guy, and then it was like, oh, I like that guy even more now that I've seen this movie.
Right.
And Clueless is just a really good movie.
Yeah, Clueless is really, really fine movie. And, Ant-Man, I don't really want to talk about Ant-Man too much. Ant-Man and the Wasp may be better. It's so new that I can't place it up there yet. So it's like, Ant-Man was wonderful, though, and he fit right into that universe, and yet, it made it his own. So I really liked Ant-Man.
All right, well, so that's our top three. So my top three Paul Rudd movies were, let's see if I can remember from my list. Number 1, Role Models. Number 2, Ant-Man and the Wasp. And number 3, The Fundamentals of Caring, with Clueless as an honorable mention.
And my number 1, 40-Year-Old Virgin. My number 2, Role Models. And my number 3, Fundamentals of Caring, with Ant-Man as an honorable mention.
Well, speaking of Ant-Man, why don't we
get into our big movie review?
The big movie review, which is Ant-Man and the Wasp. Jinx, you can't speak until I say your name. So, Martin.
Yes.
Let's talk about Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Sure. Well, let's set it up.
Let's set it up, yes. For those of you that don't know the story of Ant-Man, Paul Rudd plays Ant-Man, as he did in the first movie.
Correct.
Who has the ability to shrink and grow.
And he's been handed the role of Ant-Man from Hank Pym, who was the original
Played by Michael Douglas.
And in this particular film, which is a sequel to the original Ant-Man film, he teams up with Hank Pym's daughter,
Hope Van Dyne,
who becomes the Wasp.
So she's got similar powers to him, but her suit's actually better because it's got wings. The whole story revolves around them trying to rescue Hope's mother, Janet Van Dyne, who was
from the
original Wasp.
From the other dimension.
So the quantum
realm.
So that's the basic gist of it, right? And then there's other things that get involved in it. And and there you go. There you have a movie.
There it is. That's the movie.
Once again, it's directed by Peyton Reed, and it's got a really good cast. It's actually written by a multitude of people,
including Paul Rudd.
But Paul Rudd, was one of the writers on it, so that's kind of interesting. It also stars, Michelle Pfeiffer as Janet Van Dyne. It stars Michael Pena as returning as Luis.
Right.
Also T.I.
Tip Harris.
The other guy. The Russian guy.
Who's hilarious. But I don't remember his name, unfortunately.
Lawrence Fishburne joins the cast as Dr. Bill Foster.
And then Hannah
John Kamen.
She's awesome.
Plays Ava.
Where have I seen her before?
I do not know. I was going to look it up, and I did not, so that's one demerit on me.
Okay.
But I could look it up right now. So why don't you keep talking and look it up?
It's a great cast. Again, even the supporting roles by Judy Greer and
Bobby
Cannavale.
And his daughter, who the little girl in it is really good.
Yeah, she's fantastic.
And I can't remember the actress's name there, but Cassie was the character's name.
Right.
Abby Ryder Forston is the actress.
But she's really good. The whole cast is great. Hannah.
I'm trying to figure out what
she plays someone who's after. Kind of, the villain for the most part.
She's kind of the villain. That's one of the things that I was going to talk about with this Ant-Man and the Wasp movie is that one of the things that Marvel's been bashed about is their lack of villains with dimension. And it's interesting that this movie kind of doesn't really even have a villain. It's got like it's got a bunch of people trying to get the same. It's got
including Walton
Goggins, who he's probably the most villain character in it.
Correct.
But there's a bunch of people trying to get access to this technology for their own needs, and her character Ava is presented as kind of a villain, but she really has motives that you understand why, and it's something that Marvel I think probably took to heart when they heard of all these criticisms about how their characters do not have dimension, because their last couple of movies they've had, like Black Panther with Killmonger, he was very dimensional. Spider-Man Homecoming, the Vulture, he was very three-dimensional. Thanos is very three-dimensional character. So they're really getting into this, like, okay, you guys don't like our villains, we're going to make our villains good. And in this one, they're just like, everybody's kind of not really, everybody's in it for, Walton Goggins is just in it for the money. His character's in it. He's good.
He's definitely good. It's good to see Walton in it's good to see him in any movie, but I like the fact that he's in a movie here back in Georgia, because he is a Georgia actor. So looked like he had a lot of fun in the film.
So her other credits have been, speaking of Hannah John Kamen, her other credits include Ready Player One, Tomb Raider.
Okay.
She's in Killjoys, the sci-fi TV series.
Okay.
So that's probably where she got most of her. She was actually in Star Wars: The Force Awakens.
Oh, okay.
First order officer. So she doesn't have like very many big roles. So hopefully this is kind of a breakout role for her because she was. I agree, she was really good.
Yeah, she was really good. She's
really good actress in this.
But this is Paul Rudd and Michael Pena's show, honestly.
Yeah.
And I guess we haven't really. We've talked a little bit about the film, but do we say we have to talk about spoilers now or what?
Well, I mean, we try not to spoil the movies when we
Right.
talk about it, but there might be a couple little spoilery things, and we won't ruin. I don't know. Are you going to ruin the movie for people?
I'm not going to ruin the movie, but I do want to talk about the dynamic that Michael Pena brings to the film, along with Paul Rudd. Paul Rudd's already a funny actor. He brings a lot of humor to the role of Ant-Man, but then Michael Pena comes in, and he sort of just takes it into these tangents that are really fun and hilarious, and a lot like the first film. If you've seen the first film, he does some of the same.
He
narrating these
a story. Like
he's like,
well, then Ant-Man said this, and blah, 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 and then he was like, yeah, that's cool.
those sequences are really fun, and they're really well placed. In the film.
And the whole thing with the truth serum and stuff. That was really funny. That was really good.
That was funny.
But yeah, he's really good in it.
And even in another comedic, and what this movie is almost a straight ahead comedy.
It's a comedy. That's what I was going to say. It's like even more than Ant-Man, this movie is a comedy, and that's kind of again what I like about what Marvel does is they take their movies and it's a superhero movie, but at its heart, it's a comedy. Right.
I mean, even like FBI agent Randall Park.
Randall Park was awesome.
He's so good. So he's so good. Anyway,
yeah, he's not. But his the way he's just like this naive FBI guy who thinks he's like.
Oh my gosh, it's
cool.
Almost every sequence has something to make you laugh.
I mean, the cast. I think that's the driving factor of this movie is the cast is so good. Like I said, the storyline is really kind of almost inconsequential. It's just fun watching them interact, these cast members interact, and then the whole dynamic of the shrinking and growing, and it's just visually appealing and funny. Like there's a moment where his suit gets stuck, and he's like,
and
he's like
into school,
and he's like kind of looks like a little kid and stuff. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
So I mean, if you watch this movie as a comedy, I think it's just, that's what it is. You need to go into this movie thinking, I'm going to laugh at this movie. And there's because there's really there's like a MacGuffin that everybody's chasing, and but that's not really, if there's any heart of the matter, it's the whole dealing with family and the rescuing of the mother. Yeah, with the rescuing of the mother, because that storyline with Hope trying to rescue her mom and Michael Douglas' character trying to rescue his wife, and they're just trying to. That's kind of more the driving narrative of it. But like I said, even then, it's just more about the interactions between the characters that makes it fun.
Right.
And I did also like the idea of Ant-Man or Scott Lang getting drawn back into this when it's kind of almost like a reluctant hero. Mm-hmm. Because he's under house arrest and he only has 3 days to finish his sentence, but something happens that causes him to have to act now, and so he's the reluctant hero, and I think that also plays into the comedic elements.
Definitely. So no, overall, it's a fun movie, comedy obviously, but with some good action. The action is well done,
especially it's really well done
with what you mentioned, the elements of Ant-Man, which is shrinking and growing, and the way they incorporated those elements was really inventive.
Into the chase scenes and how they just knocking over, shrinking cars and knocking them over, and the fact that they keep the cars in a Hot Wheels case.
Or is it Matchbox or Hot Wheels?
Whatever.
But it was that was clever and funny. And then the suitcase building.
The other thing I wanted to talk about was one of the things that they kind of made this movie when they announced it. It was the first Marvel movie to feature a woman in the title, so it was groundbreaking, if you will, in that regard. But then I've read some negative things that saying, well, it really was just another Ant-Man movie. It wasn't really Ant-Man and the Wasp. But I thought that Evangeline Lilly's character as a Wasp, she had just as much going on.
Well,
there's
early in the film, she was driving the story.
And there's portions of the movie where Scott Lang's character is not even around, and they're doing things, So I don't know where that complaint comes from. I think sometimes people are trying to get a little bit too overly picky about trying to.
I mean, it is Ant-Man, and
it is a sequel to Ant-Man, so of course he's going to be the driving force.
But substitute.
Their complaint was like, "Oh, she's just a sidekick," and she's not just a sidekick. No. She's driving.
In fact, that's the Cassie character really drives home the point that Ant-Man needs somebody, as a partner, right?
Yeah.
And so she's a true partner.
She
in a sense,
is the one that knows what's going on. Exactly. He's just there to help.
Right.
So if anything, he's the sidekick.
No, exactly.
So I don't know where that criticism is coming from, and hopefully it's a minority, a vocal minority, a less vocal minority.
It's like, are we ever going to get past that type of?
Yeah, I know. That's what I was trying to think.
I mean, come on.
Yeah. Just enjoy it. It's a good movie.
Yeah, it's a good movie, and laugh at it and have fun with it.
Like, there's really not. You can't really go like in depth into any of like the elements. It's just a fun movie to me.
Sure,
like, you
absolutely.
can't really like dissect like directorial choices and stuff like that. But
no.
Just overall, I would rate it an A. I think Marvel is just on a roll. All their movies have been really good recently.
No, I maybe A minus, but certainly in that top grade, because it's fun. It's all you ask for in a movie.
And
have fun.
What I would say is, for a non-spoiler thing, is if you've watched Avengers Infinity War and you're expecting this to add on to that, you're going to be sorely disappointed. So let go of those. Yeah. There's a little bit of a tie to it, and you'll see it.
A little bit, yeah.
But it's very, very minor, and I know some people who are disappointed in the movie because it didn't continue that story. So you have to treat it as its own thing. It's a separate thing.
Come on. Please. Let a movie be a movie.
Yeah. Let it be. Let it be. All right. So
Do we have any more people joining us?
Oh, Richard Etchison just joined us.
Are you kidding me? Hey, Rich, what's going on?
Hey. All the way from NYC, huh?
Representing
the dirty. So that's it for the big movie review. So we're gonna move on to our technique topics. So yes, we have a few folks that have joined. And if you guys have any questions on any kind of filmmaking topics, we certainly welcome you to ask a question.
Right.
Fire away. I have a question to start this technique topic segment, and it's to you, Martin.
Me, okay.
How can I get Paul Rudd to be in my movie?
Well,
this is not just me asking. This is like a title of a TED talk. How do I get Paul Rudd to be in a movie? It's not really about that. It's about like for people out there, how do you get a name actor interested in your project? And
well, I mean, there's like the short answer, the simple answer, and then there's the answer is however you can, right? Like, the real answer is by hook or by crook, right? Here's the common ways to do it, right? You have a project, you want to pitch it, you see Paul Rudd as the guy who should star in this vehicle. Mm-hmm. You contact his manager or his agent.
So how do you get that information?
Well, IMDb Pro usually has that listing. So if you go to IMDb Pro, you'll see who his agency is. A lot of times you can also see who his actual agent is. The agents are listed on like IMDb Pro. There are also like other resources out there that you can buy, like the agency listing in almost a book form. It's more PDF these days. They used to actually send books in the mail, and then those also have listings. But you got to be careful with those versions, because a lot of times people do change. They change agents, and like if you buy the book version, if you bought it last year, that might not have the same representation this year. But what you're wanting to do is have it. What it's called being set up. A project needs to be set up for them to really consider it. Like, I want Paul Rudd to be in my movie. So let me call his agent right now.
Yeah.
No. That's not going to get you very far. What is going to get you very far
I've got an idea for a movie, and I won't call it.
Oh, yeah, definitely don't call that. Definitely don't call that. If you meet Paul Rudd,
script.
If you happen to meet Paul Rudd,
Yeah.
you know, you could pitch him your idea, and he might accept reading it to see if he's interested, because he's obviously a writer and producer these days. But the best way is that you have your project set up, which means, when I say set up, that means the resources are in place to do the film. Okay?
Yeah.
If you tell his agent that the project is set up and you want him to consider it, you have a better chance for them to consider it. Now, of course, Paul Rudd makes a lot of money.
Yeah.
So if you don't have a lot of money, your project better be the greatest thing since sliced bread to Paul Rudd.
Yeah.
So if Paul Rudd thinks your script is the greatest thing he's ever read, he might be willing to do it for a little bit of money if he has the time. Remember, he's working a lot, right? So what you have to check with the agencies for is their availability, right? So not only does your project need to be set up, you need to have it set up ready to go at a time when the actor is available.
Yeah.
So, you know, if you know Paul Rudd's shooting a movie right now and you are in pre-production, you're not getting Paul Rudd because he's shooting a movie right now, right? But if you are in development, you have the money in place to do the project, you have a window that you're planning to do it, and it happens to coincide with a window that Paul Rudd has open, you might be able to have him consider your project.
Now, I've heard a lot of people. So, you know, most indie films nowadays, to get distribution, you kind of have to have a name. I mean, there's exceptions, of course, but so what I notice is a lot of indie productions try to get name actors, and they'll get them for like one scene. Is that a good way to do it?
I think it's an okay way to do it. It's kind of, people will kind of see that or smell that.
Yeah.
For the most part, I mean, this happens, and you know, unfortunately, I hate to talk about how this happens to certain people. Like, for instance, Bruce Willis. Until recently, I think Bruce Willis is now back doing movies where he's playing the main part. Mm-hmm. But Bruce Willis had done a string of movies where he would be in town, whatever town it was, for less than a week. Yeah. And he's top bill on the film, and his part's really small. Mm. I mean, that happens because it's business, right? Yeah. And so they pay him a lot of money, and they're going to sell a lot of territories with Bruce Willis on the cover, even if he's, you know, I've seen a movie where he never leaves the room that he's in. Yeah. And so you can tell you could have shot him out in like 2 days, right? If, you know, 2 days at
But if you're clever, you could make a script where they're still very involved, and you can get them in.
Absolutely. That's what I would recommend. If you can find a way to thread a character throughout the film with a limited sort of set commitment, but yet make it, you know, really relevant to the storyline, then that's a way to go. Yeah. You know, with trying to get a name actor.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, and then, so when you say something is set up, like you have a full budget already in place,
or at least enough to start, right? Yeah. Like you can say you're set up, because a lot of times, like you might be pending some investment, right? Mm-hmm. Like you could have enough funds to get started with a project, right? Mm-hmm. And I would recommend this. This is not how I would do it, but this is how people do it sometimes, is they have enough money to get started, so they start pre-production and they plan a shoot pending more investment. Yeah. Now, if you secure that name talent, you're likely to get that extra investment, right?
Exactly.
And so to be set up that far is good. But a lot of times, and here's one of the things that you have to remember when you're going to make an offer to a name talent who has a lot of clout, you're going to most likely have to do a pay or play deal, mm-hmm. right? Which means, let's say I've got half the budget. I say I'm set up. I offer Paul Rudd, you know, $50,000 to do 3 weeks on the film, mm-hmm. right? And he probably wouldn't take that, but I'm just saying, let's say that, right?
in this fantasy world.
Right.
Paul Rudd's in my film.
Yeah, the deal is $50,000, 3 weeks, right?
Yeah.
I only have half my budget, right? The other half doesn't come through. And for some reason, I had planned, and this would be dumb of me, I had planned Paul Rudd to be the last 3 weeks of the shoot, right? Mm-hmm. But I only have enough to cover the first 3 weeks of the shoot, right? And I don't get that extra investment. I still owe, and I can't shoot those last 3 weeks. I still owe Paul Rudd 50 grand.
Yeah.
So you have to pay them, period. So that's one thing to also
schedule
think
them
about.
up front.
Well, that would be how to do it. Like our last film, we scheduled our visiting talent the first 2 weeks of the film. And it's not because we had plenty to do the film, but we also wanted to make sure we got them in and out without any issues.
And so when you approach a agent, or how do you actually approach them? Like you said, like you can get their information off, but do you say like, hey, I've got you write a query? Is it a query,
it's a query letter
system?
just like it's anyone who's familiar with how to do a query for getting a production company to read your script. Yeah, it's very similar. It's just you're sending a query to get one of their clients to consider your project. And so it's really some of the same things apply. You give them a log line, you give them a little bit of information about the project, who's involved, who's attached. The more the better. Like for instance, if you've got a world-class DP already, attached to the project, and you've got a known director or a known writer attached to the project, great. A known producer entity. Anything to show how legitimate the project is. Coming from an indie point of view. I mean, because the people in Hollywood, they're used to Hollywood movies, right? So the more you establish your legitimacy at being an honest-to-goodness feature filmmaker, the better at them considering your project.
And I mean, you've had some named people in some of your productions. Were those blind queries, or did you have some connections to them?
Many of them were blind. We did have a couple of connections, and that's the other thing, is to use the connections you have.
Well, that's the thing for anything you're doing. Right. If you're in the Atlanta, or if you're in the indie film scene, connections are everything. It doesn't matter if you're a gaffer or a PA. Your connections are everything.
So some of the people we did get because we had a kind of connection to them. Yeah. And so, but some of them were blind queries, just people that we had a list. And, I would say, don't put all your hopes on one actor either. Yeah. Like one name talent. You need to try to get a list for the characters you're planning to try to cast with name actors. Get a very extensive list for all of them, because, we had a lot of people that we were considering to put in the project that we wanted to get, and we made offers to some people who considered it but didn't ultimately take the job. You have to have a backup. You have to have a really quality list of people that you're going for to cast.
Well, that's good advice. That's coming from somebody who's never had any name talent in any of the productions I've done.
You've had.
Well, myself, but
you've had some names in yours.
Yeah, we actually have had some names, but that
was a different way to get them in.
We just happened to be where they were. And
exactly.
They had the time.
And they said, I don't care. I'll do it.
All right. Well, I mean, we've kind of run the gamut on our technique topic. We didn't get any questions from our viewing audience, but that's okay. We're going to, hopefully if this is successful, and I think so far it has been, we're going to do some more live broadcasts. And the next time we'll give you a little bit more. This was more of a test for us. So we'll give you some more.
We appreciate the folks that did come.
Yeah, we're going to give you guys some warning next time.
Yeah, exactly.
Hopefully you have some questions, and we can make it a little bit more.
Yeah, make it more interactive. That would be fun.
Experience.
For sure.
And then, so finally, we're at the point where we go to the movie game, and
everyone's favorite segment.
This is where I was going to think that doing it live might be a bad thing with this movie game, because if somebody comments on, gives me some answers, I might be able to compete with you for the movie game.
Yeah, because the computer's over there.
Yeah, I can look at. So, Richard, you can help me out if I get stumped on any of these movie game questions. So, anyway.
Richard, don't mess with my screen.
The movie game. Let's explain it for you. Basically, the movie game is a movie chain. So if I name an actor, Martin would name a movie that actor was in, and then I would have to name another actor or actress that was in that movie that Martin named, and we keep going back and forth until one of us can't solve it. Other than that, we play first to two. We do 2 rounds. We do 3 rounds if we could. It's best of 2. Best of 3. First to 2 wins the game. Martin usually wins. He's probably like 14-2, pretty like dominant, like New England Patriots type season.
Good solid numbers. I'd win the Cy Young if I was a pitcher.
Some of the other things some of the more minor rules are you can't name a movie or actor twice in the same chain, but you can name sequels. And you can challenge the other person if you don't think that they can name.
Right.
Like if you don't think they can name another actor in that movie, you can challenge them. So we are going to begin. Oh, movie game. Yay, movie game. Richard says Mike needs help. I do. So, yes. Why don't we start? Why don't you go first?
Me? Okay.
Don't ace me.
First. I don't. Okay, I'll try not to ace you. How about Terminator 2?
Electric Boogaloo. Edward Furlong.
Oh, gosh. Edward Furlong?
Yes.
Boy, that may be difficult, actually. We saw him in Sundance. What movie was this at the time?
I don't know. What movie was that?
Oh, he was in American History X.
He was in American History X. You know who else was in American History X? Ethan Suplee.
Yes, he was.
Was in American History.
Remember the Titans?
He was in that as well. Ryan Gosling was in that movie.
Was Ryan Gosling in that? How about Crazy Stupid Love?
Oh, Crazy Stupid Love. Steve Carell.
How about 40-Year-Old Virgin?
Catherine Keener.
Catherine Keener. So let's talk about Sicario, Day of Soldado.
Oh, jeez. I've not seen that, but I do know that Josh Brolin's in it.
Okay. Goonies.
Goonies. Sean Astin.
Okay. Rudy.
Jon Favreau.
Love and Sex.
Oh, dear God. I've seen that movie. I don't remember it. Any help? Any help on the left? No. I'm going to try. Is Famke Janssen in that?
Very nice. Very nice. Good job.
Okay.
Good job. You're right. Famke Janssen.
I didn't get any help either. Nothing's on
there. Okay. So Famke Janssen. How about X2?
X-Men United.
X-Men United.
That's the actual title. X2 X-Men. No, X2 X-Men United.
Okay, my bad.
It's the subtitle. Patrick Stewart.
Patrick Stewart, Logan.
Steve Merchant.
Table 19.
Anna Kendrick.
Of course, Anna. Anna, why aren't you on the show still? Anna Kendrick. How about Rocket Science?
Oh. Ooh. Oh, Nick D'Agosto.
Yeah. Nick D'Agostino.
D'Agostino, yeah.
Yeah. Good job. Wow. You're rocking. This is definitely tennis week, apparently. Because you're rocking
Wimbledon. I'm watching Wimbledon, man.
Fired up.
Okay. Oh, I've seen that movie too. Oh, what's that guy's name? Oh, that guy. That blonde-haired guy that I can't remember his name. Do you know his name? I'm going to challenge you.
Yeah. Eric Olsen. Michael Eric Olsen or Eric Steven Olsen or something.
I guess I'll take that. I mean,
something Olsen.
I mean, you can name somebody else if you know.
I don't know anybody else in that film.
Eric Christian Olsen.
Eric Christian Olsen.
His name. But I'll give it to you.
I appreciate
that. Was good enough. The fact that you gave me the Augustino. That wasn't an intense round. That's what Richard said. It was an intense round. All right, that was good. Yeah. Okay, I'll start off now. Since we're on the subject, I'm just gonna start Paul Rudd.
Paul Rudd, the Chateau.
Really?
I mean,
I gotta
listen.
After that great round, you gotta give me this.
I've talked about it before. You should remember.
Dear God. Rich? Eddie? Way on there? Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
Romney Malco.
Talked about it.
Damn it. That's where Paul Rudd met Romney and then probably suggested Romney for a 40-year-old version.
Why did I have to start with Paul Rudd?
I don't know.
I gave you too many options to ace me. It wasn't really a true ace. It was like a return service.
Right. It was it's a hard return that he couldn't handle. He just couldn't handle it.
Rich didn't even know. He's got question marks there. So, all right. Well, once again, Martin wins the movie game, but that was pretty fun.
That was a pretty fun round. That first round was great.
Now, I want to try to make that a little bit more interactive. And I don't know. I don't think Facebook Live allows it yet, but you can get people to join. If we get somebody to join, and join us in the movie game, that would be pretty cool. Of course, people are going to give away their answers on the line, but that was fun.
That was
fun. So thank you everybody for joining us for our first live podcast. If you're not listening to it live, thank you for joining us anyway.
Yeah, definitely.
We certainly appreciate it. And once again, we'd like to request that you give us some information.
Well, give us information about
what
projects. What are you working on? Even if how about this? Even if you're not in Atlanta or in the area, tell us what you're working on. We still may talk about it.
And the offer's still out there that we can come to them if they've got something that they want to
Definitely.
Remember our offer from last podcast?
Definitely. We'll come to you. If in fact, I'm going to go to a shoot in 2 weeks for something fun. So.
Okay, well, cool. We'll have some...
And then I'll talk about that.
Awesome. And then also, please share with your friends and family and other people you work with. Let them know about what we're doing. And we don't have any music for the live podcast, but Eureka Failure provides us the music for the more edited version, so we want to thank them once again.
Definitely.
And that's really it, unless there's any questions from the peanut gallery over here. Eddie says he wants to be on the show.
Okay, Eddie. Okay.
We want to thank everybody that joined. We have a couple of you guys on there. We really appreciate it, and hopefully we'll have more next time. And we'll be back in August.
Yep.
Already, it's already getting to August.
Man,
crazy.
it's unbelievable.
And we'll see you next time on the CinemATL podcast.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks for joining.